right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our open mic night for May 17th. Tonight we are joined by two advocacy groups that are working on urban farm issues, Fair Farms Maryland, as well as the Prince George's County Farm Bureau. Thanks for joining us tonight. Just a few housekeeping, issues to keep in mind. You guys can go ahead and read those yourselves. For more information about the district and some of the district programs, please reach out via our website, pgsc.org, and we are always available and ready to assist. So we're going to start things off tonight just with some general introductions. I'm Kim Rush Lynch. I'm the Urban Ag Conservation Planner with the Prince George's Soil Conservation District, and I'm actually joined by a couple of colleagues tonight. So typically with this, we'll just, give your 30-second, 20-second soundbite, and then we'll have some time for deeper discussion after we hear from our two presenters. So actually, Terry, I'm going to kick it over to you.
Okay, you would start with me while I'm eating chocolate chip cookies. Good evening, everyone. My name is Terry Hampton. I work at the Prince George's Soil Conservation District as a office manager, but I am also a Prince George's Master Gardener trainee, just passing my final exam. Woohoo! And just good to be here. I am going to pass it off to Doug.
Thank you, Terry. My name is Doug Adams, everyone. I am the founder of New Brooklyn Farms, which is a urban farm and green event space located in Mount Rainier, Maryland, in PG County. Me and Kim go way back. Kim has been instrumental in my journey over the last 5 years, getting this all started. And tonight, I'm also joining as a member of the Fair Farms Farmer Advisory Council, which we'll discuss more a little later.
So Doug, just go ahead and pass the mic to somebody.
Humon.
Hello, everybody. My name is Humon. I am calling in from Montgomery County, Maryland, but I have spent a lot of time in Prince George's County working at Eco City Farms in the past, volunteering for Prince George's Food Equity Council. And now, that was a few years ago now, fast forward, I work for Fair Farms as the campaign manager, and it's a program of Waterkeepers Chesapeake. I should also say that Kim has also been instrumental in my career development as well. So yeah, shout out to Kim. I'll pass it to Stephanie.
Thanks. I'm Stephanie Young. I am the owner and operator of Blue Berwyn Farm. It's a small farm on like 1/5 of an acre in Berwyn Heights. We do cut flowers and veggies, and I make like homemade cards and some value-added products. I will pass the mic to Jamila.
Hi, I'm Jamila Casanal. I'm the owner of and main grower of Sweet Love Flower Farm in Upper Marlboro, Maryland, right off the 301. And I'm going to say what everyone else has said, that Kim has been just wonderful in helping me get my farm started. So yeah, that's me. And I'm going to pass it to Harrison.
Good afternoon, everybody. Evening, I guess. I'm Harrison Palmer. I work for the Maryland Department of Agriculture. I'm a technician in the Prince George's Soil Conservation Office. Also the young farmer representative for Prince George's County Farm Bureau. And I farm about 50 acres of hay and straw down in the very southern tip of the county in Brandywine and Kewasco. So I'm going to pass it to Armand.
Hi everyone, I'm Armand Milanian. I'm I guess a beginner farmer, sort of trying to figure out how I can make money off of farming in urban settings. I run a 1/8 of an acre sort of food forest system, and mostly focusing on trying to grow herbs as main product for now. And excited to be here. And also Kim was a instrumental part of how I started and got what I am. Glad that she was there and helped me figure out stuff and moving. I'll pass the mic to Elizabeth.
Hi everybody, I'm Liz Robinson. My partner Corey and I own the Garden International. We grow specialty mushrooms like lion's mane and oyster mushrooms, and we like to test out as many varieties as possible. We grow in a warehouse in Beltsville, so we're, I guess considered controlled environment, which is a little bit different than, some of what people are used to. And, this group has been really instrumental, and Kim has been a humongous resource. So I always want to share that. And also I represent the Prince George's and Anne Arundel County Urban Farm Work Group as the chair. So if there's anything that I can do, or any classes in particular, or any resources or regulations that you need help with, I can certainly do my best to facilitate the group and helping with that. Oh, I am going to pass it off to John.
Yeah, sorry guys, I'm driving, and for a second I'll be just on listening mode.
Okay, how about Logan?
Thank you, Liz. And to hit on Armand, whether you're new or an old farmer, we're all still trying to figure out how to make money. Logan Yearsley grew up on a century farm, a little over 1,000 acres in Missouri. I moved out to Maryland a few years ago. I'm the current vice president of Prince George's County Farm Bureau, and I sit on the state committee for legislative affairs, and I'm vice chair of the Maryland Farm Bureau PAC committee. So it's kind of my background, and I've worked kind of hand in hand with Harrison, and who couldn't help but love Kim. So is it Trinia?
Hi, yes, it's Trina. Good evening, everyone. I am a partner with Sisters of the Soil Community Farm, and out here trying to get some work in after my full-time job, but it's great to see everybody. And yes, Kim is wonderful. She's always so helpful. Thank you so much, Kim. I'll pass it to Renee.
Hey, Trina, before we go to Renee, are you at the incubator farm right now?
Yes.
Maybe you can share your camera and show everybody, because I know a lot of folks here are curious about it. Just the quick 5-second tour, but maybe just,
Okay.
It's not what this group is out there, but those are the high tunnel systems.
Yeah, I'm in the high tunnel now, but this is the farm right across from a school. We have some, I don't know if you can see, the sun is pretty bright, but some shipping containers with supplies, and then the high tunnels. And we're right across the street in a huge church. See that in the background. So yeah, it's a great setup.
Thanks, Trina. And kudos to Harrison, who was responsible for a lot of the design, working with Eco on the design of that and the engineering practices. So
awesome.
I think we have Renee left, and I'm gonna guess SMM, maybe because I know Sandy Miller registered, so maybe it's Sandy or Phil.
Yes, it's me. So how are you?
Good, thanks. Good to have you on.
Sure. So oh, did you want to pass it to me? I'm Shelley Miller. I'm with Miller Farms. I saw the post and thought I'd just see what everything's all about. I'm not much on a mic person, so I won't be saying much. So
that's all right. We're happy to have you on. Thanks for coming.
Sure.
And I think Renee's left.
Hello, family. Hi. I am out here revamping. What am I doing? I'm revamping some things as I am growing and going and moving and trying to get it all together. As you well know, it's a lot of work. I am just wanting to say and share that, what am I doing? Go back. It has been a pleasure being a part of this group because we're like minds. As a Prince George's County Baywise Master Gardener and a Master Composter, it's been awesome to be able to listen and to be able to share. So, and Kim, you already know, you came over here and we got this designation done in record time. And I am so happy about that because I've been doing this, but not thinking about farming, you know, and I just give away food. But now it's about how you do your resiliency. So that's what I'm working on. My background is healthcare, so I'm just matching up all the dots. So, and like I said, it's been an absolute pleasure to be a part of the group, and Kim is the bomb, as I always tell her.
Well, you all are actually the bomb. So you guys are doing some amazing work. So I'm glad you guys are on and are joining. You guys are the perfect group, honestly, to talk with Fair Farms tonight and the Prince George's County Farm Bureau. Both groups are going to tell you a little bit about their work in the urban ag space, and then they have a few questions for you guys and just general open discussion. This is super informal tonight. So, you know, just feel free to share. And you guys, of course, the raise hand feature, if you're not familiar with Zoom, at the bottom of your screen, you'll see a reactions button, a smiley face, and that's where the raise your hand feature is. Or just, you know, type in the chat box. We're small enough, you could really just shout out an answer as well. So, again, we appreciate you guys being on. I'm going to let Linda do her quick intro because I just see that she popped on.
Hold on. Can you hear me?
We can. Thanks, Linda.
Phew, I'm sorry. I had got a whole lot of stuff mixed up this week. I'm so sorry. Linda Jones, can you see me though?
We see your cup of tea.
Okay. All right. Because I'm on my phone. I have to go upstairs and get the computer. Good afternoon, everybody. Linda Jones. I'm an urban farmer here in Prince George's County. Elements of Nature is my farm name. And I've been urban farming for about 2 years and master gardener for about 13. So I'm on the SMATIC board for to represent the urban farmers for Prince George's County. So I'm glad to be here and glad to see everybody else is here as well. And I'll punt to the next person whose name starts with last name starts with the letter C or above. So that's anybody.
I think we're good, Linda. So I think we're going to just go ahead and launch into our speakers. And just
a
reminder for folks just coming on, tonight we're joined by Humon, Heidarian, and Doug Adams with Fair Farms, Maryland, as well as Harrison Palmer and Logan Yearsley, and also Shelley/Sandy Miller, I always know you as Sandy, with the Prince George's County Farm Bureau. So I'm going to turn it over to Humon and Doug.
Okay. Thank you. So yes, tonight I am here on behalf of the Fair Farms Farmer Advisory Council. So what that is a group of Maryland farmers. I think we are at about maybe 13 or 14 of us right now. We meet, I think, every other month. We hold meetings, and essentially what the function of the group is to discuss legislative and public issues as they pertain to Maryland farmers of all types, rural, urban, etc. We have a diverse group. We even have some professionals, people who don't operate farms, but just, you know, are in the community and in the network. So we meet every other month and we discuss legislative priorities that relate to, you know, farming, whether it's at the state level. It's primarily the ones that we discuss in the Fair Farms group is at the state level. And we talk through, you know, proposed legislation, and Fair Farms, specifically Humon, kind of steers, like, you know, organizing support around emerging legislation and bills. also like relays feedback from the Fair Farms Advisory Council group back to, elected officials and people who are on their staff that are developing these pieces of legislation that will impact farming in Maryland, farming in some capacity. But it's basically, we create a line of communication to offer a feedback loop. And, we also support bills is a lot of what we do as well. So I'm going to give you guys an example of, I'll bring up a list first of some of our legislative priorities so far in 2022. There are not a list of bills that have been proposed by different elected officials, some of which have successfully passed or have moved on to the next round of review prior to passing, next hearing phase. Yes, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Let's see. Okay, and let me know if you guys can't see. Okay. All right. So Humon manages this list. I just wanted to give you guys a snapshot of what some of the things we've been working on this year so far have been. There's been a number of pieces of legislation that have been proposed to support specifically urban farming, which, as we know, is a lot less established than rural farming, and the pipeline for resources is a little bit more, I guess, fragmented, if you will. So it's been great to see that this year we've had, let's see, it's 1, 2, 3, I think it's like 4. Yeah, we had about 4 bills that have been proposed that can benefit urban farming, specifically at the state level in different ways. The items in green are bills that have been passed successfully. So they exist. I'm sorry, the way the bills exist is at the Senate level and at the House level. So SB means it's a Senate bill, and HB means it's a House bill. So yeah, so I'll give you guys an example of one that I recently supported, which is the excuse me, the Urban Farm, or the Urban Farmer Assistance Program, where essentially this bill was proposed to bring funding around the cost of 2 additional University of Maryland extension agents. As some of us know on the call, extension agents can be a huge resource for, urban farm, really all farmers. And unfortunately, I think right now there's like 2, if I'm not mistaken, or a small one more 3. But yeah, we need more of this kind of technical assistance to encourage, current and, prospective farmers to, have somebody that they can come and ask specific questions to, be routed to funding opportunities, regulation, etc. So this is a great bill that recently passed, and what I did to support was I just wrote a letter of support on behalf of my farm. This letter of support is actually for another bill for an urban agriculture grant fund, but just to show you guys what the support looks like from the Farmer Advisory Council. And then also, if someone on the call or someone that catches wind of this bill being proposed and wants to support, anybody from the public can write a letter of support or attend a hearing, which helps this stuff, move along. So yeah, my letter of support, I typically just lead off with, a little bit about my business, my farm business, my history in the county, and then speak to how specifically, the things in the bill that I feel are beneficial and would work as they're presented, and then offer some feedback, as specific as possible, page, whatever, line, whatever of the bill. And you can call out, things that may be indirect barrier to you being able to benefit from what's being proposed. And just any other concerns, you can just call them out in your letter of support. So make sure that your voice is heard. And everyone, they do actually review these letters of support. They listen to people who attend hearings, and they hold weight in the final versions of what some of this support will look like for us. So yeah, I'll just quickly skim through a couple of the other ones that have passed. This is a power and water grant program bill that passed successfully. Essentially, this is to provide assistance in the form of grant funding for power and water installations in, like, if you have a space and you're starting a farm, and we all know that power and water is pretty much mandatory for most farm operations. But if you have a vacant piece of land and you don't have that, it can be very expensive to install. So the purpose of this bill is to create grant resources around it. And then the other one that I had supported, it didn't pass. To give you an example of it, the other side of the coin is this urban agriculture incentive zones bill. This bill was going to facilitate the designation of certain parts of the state to be identified as urban agriculture incentive zones, so that basically if you create, or if you operate or start an urban farming business in one of these incentive zones, there are different benefits that you'll be privy to. So I believe some of the things were it was in the form of like assistance and grant money, but unfortunately this bill did not pass. I'm not sure what the exact final reason was, but it didn't pass the House. So yeah, so I just want to give you guys an overview of, we spend the majority of our, we talk about other things when we meet as the Farm Advisory Council. We talk about, just happenings, things that people, have encountered dealing with the USDA, in business, with markets. We talk about everything. It's an open forum for us to share information, but we are essentially championing a lot of legislation. And we like to think that we're like a brain trust in the state of Maryland around farming. And this year we're trying to really, I guess, kind of not rebrand, but expand our reach into more, more outreach efforts like this, like joining this call tonight, letting folks know who we are, what our purpose is, and how if this kind of thing, if the emerging legislation and supporting it or having your voice heard in it is something that interests you, come reach out to somebody at Fair Farms, myself, Humon. Yeah, so I'm going to pass it over to Humon, who can talk more about Fair Farms as the parent organization who sponsors the Farmer Advisory Council and what they do. Excuse me, getting over COVID, y'all. I caught COVID for the first time this whole pandemic. But yeah, I'm going to pass it over to you, Humon.
All right, thank you, Doug. Appreciate that. So yeah, the legislation is a big part of what Fair Farms does. But let me zoom out for a second. So the Fair Farms, I mentioned this earlier. Fair Farms is a program of Waterkeepers Chesapeake, and so Waterkeepers Chesapeake is about the program. That nonprofit is about 10 years old ish, and then Fair Farms is about 5. And I started this position maybe half a year ago, 9 months ago. And so I've been doing a lot of things before that. Worked at EcoCity Farms, worked for the Vermont Farm Bureau when I lived there and went to school. So shout out farm bureaus everywhere. They do a lot of great work. And volunteer for Prince George's Food Equity Council. So a lot of different policy, but also being on the ground and having my hands in the dirt to figure out what's going on. And so what Waterkeeper Chesapeake does, and for those who don't know, is a statewide organization, statewide nonprofit, and they work with different water keepers at different rivers. So one's at Fort Patuxent, so Fred Tubman. One is, Assateague, so all over Western as well. And so what they do is monitor rivers and make sure it's different pollutants are not going in, conservation, all these kinds of things. And so, what that looks like in practice is fighting against the polluters. And one of the big polluters is a lot of like these big companies that are on the Eastern Shore or certain large farms that they've been looking at too that don't always have the best water quality practices. I'm not saying all, this is what they tell me. And so this is what they work on. Now on the opposite side is, so they're over there fighting against, but Fair Farms, the goal is to uplift the people who are on the smaller scale side, on the more sustainable ag or regenerative ag side. Now there's always up for debate on what those terms really mean, but this is what we do. So work with urban, super smallest scale urban farmers to much larger scale, still small farms, but much larger scale small farms on Eastern Shore and different areas. And so let me see if I can, and that's the overall context. So I'm gonna share my screen real quick and show the website. So I just want to go over this real quick. So in case you go to our website and see what we have going on, I'm not going to go through all the different tabs, but I just want to show you what it looks like. So for example, this is some of this stuff that we've been doing recently. So working on this one right here, working on American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA. So a lot of money that came down from the federal government or the state government. And then the next one is what Doug was mentioning, that we don't only do policy, but we do some different blogs and some different written materials. So we had this is Taffy over here, who's also on our Farmer Advisory Council, and she wrote we're doing a series on what beloved community means, which is a term that Martin Luther King used a lot from his religious studies. And we're doing a series on that. And then, the next one over here, legislative priorities for 2022. And then also we do want to make sure that we're highlighting a lot of the farms. So we have a CSA list. We try to make sure we push that out in our newsletter, which I encourage everyone to sign up. I can share my email, and then you can go to the website link too. You can go there and check it out and see what's going on. And so a few other things that I try to do and Doug is doing what we mentioned, a lot of outreach. So in my first year, I'm trying to learn as much as I can. I mean, really, you're supposed to be learning every day, forever and ever, and listen to different people that are doing different things. And so going to different farms around the state, visiting what they have going on. You can check us out on Instagram, the places I've been going to over the weekends and during the week. Going to different meetings, being involved in that Urban Farm Policy Coalition. So you might have seen some of the names on that list that Doug had. Shout out Colby Ferguson for doing a lot of great work at the state level for Farm Bureau, as well as Robin Clark over at Chesapeake Bay Foundation. I think they're both really great conveners in trying to figure out different policies and different strategies for the state that really help urban farmers. And so, besides the urban farming, looking at other kinds of policies and programs that would really help to support the livelihoods of smaller scale farms, like people on this call, so they can make sure they can continue for future generations, make sure they can make money, make sure they can support their community, make sure they can make their communities more resilient. And so what that looks like, it could be a simple phone call between a farmer and me, and they say, oh, I wish I could, do you know any restaurants that I could sell to? Or maybe vice versa, I'm talking with a restaurant that we work with and say, would you want to buy more local produce, things like that. Another example is I was on the Eastern Shore a few weeks ago and I went to a farmer's market, Ocean Pines farmer's market, and I talked with the market manager and they said, oh, we want more local producers here because a lot of them are coming from out of state, or they might buy from a wholesaler that we're not, that comfortable with, but it's still providing fresh food to the people. So figuring that out. The other thing I would add is, Doug touched on this too, that our Farmer Advisory Council is pretty diverse in terms of growers, but we want to make sure we keep that as well in terms of backgrounds and demographics, where people are coming from. I think that's very important. When we talk about farming, we got to talk about the equity. We got to talk about issues around food apartheid. So those are all very important issues that I'm learning more about and want to become more knowledgeable on, and also enact policy that would work on these issues. I should also add, we compensate the farmers that are on the Farmer Advisory Council. So we pay them for their time because we think their time is valuable. Besides farming, they also provide us with knowledge, and that knowledge should be, equitably compensated. I think that's also very important. I think that's it. I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna add in a few links and emails and all those things, and you can follow up with me later on by email, and yeah, we'll go from there. We'll make something good happen.
Thank you so much, Humon and Doug. Appreciate you guys coming on tonight. And thanks for dropping those links and any contact information into the chat box for folks. While you guys are doing that, and before we move on to Prince George's County Farm Bureau, I wondered if anyone had any specific questions about Fair Farms, or any initial feedback for them before we move into our next group of speakers. And then we're also going to have a general discussion about urban farm policy and priorities, with both groups, but just wanted to see if there are any specific questions.
Hi, Kim, this is Jamila. So no, I just wanted to say that, I'm happy that, this presentation was made today, because I really don't follow the legislation as closely as I should. And I feel like I've benefited a lot from it. And so I would like to be more involved in how these things come to be. And then also, I'm really happy to hear that we're going to get to more extension agents, because I feel like University of Maryland, I feel like we have some of the best extension agents, we really do, but I can tell they're overworked. I can tell. So I'm happy that we're going to get some more help.
Thanks, Jamila. Armand.
Yeah, I want to thank you all for this presentation. This was really helpful and great to see that you're all working for changing legislation in the state. I was just wondering, so the website for Fair Farm, does it kind of display which legislations are in the pipeline, which ones have passed? Okay, yeah, okay, that's great. So I would like to see that and kind of get updated on that. That would be cool.
Yeah, so if you go to if you go to our website, go under news and then check out the blogs.
Mm-hmm.
We try to put everything in one place, in one blog, and then we'll update that regularly. So the session's over now, but if you go back, the latest one would be right. The latest one is the wrap up for 2022. So you'll see the different big pieces of legislation we worked on, and then you'll see, throughout the session it will change, and then we'll make sure to add that to the newsletter, showing that
the newsletter is a big way to stay updated too, right, Humon?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. That's I would say social media newsletter best way.
So if you go to the Fair Farms website,
mm-hmm.
and then you click on news,
this
newsletter thing had just popped up. I guess sometimes it pops up, but you want to sign up for the newsletter, but then also go to the blog. And then on the blog, there's this post, Fair Farms legislative wrap up for 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a walkthrough of the bills. This is only stuff that was successfully passed, right, Humon? Yeah. So yeah, and there's a lot on here that I didn't discuss, like the agrivoltaics bill, the Farms and Families Fund. But yeah, this is the best place to come and see the full info.
Awesome. Thank you all so much.
No problem. No problem. Thank you.
Hi, this is Renee. I just wanted to say thank you for the work that you do. As a person that wrote policies and did this type of work in the healthcare field, it is challenging and it takes a lot of energy and effort to get people to galvanize. So I appreciate you coming. And as Jamila said, I really look forward to getting more information on what we can do as a collective in our different pockets as to where we are and how we could assist outside of just sending letters of support when needed, you know, and to do those other activities, because there are other activities outside of letter writing. So I just wanted to say thank you for what you already do.
Definitely. I would say this too, is that I've also benefited from voicing a roadblock or, you know, seeking help in my, you know, as it relates to operating my farm. Some people may know I worked with Kim back in 2019 to get special legislation passed just to deal with an issue I was faced with around zoning, disallowing my farm to exist and operate. So I would say, just if you are dealing with something, you know, around like, you know, governmental or permitting, definitely circle back with Kim and see if there may be some, you know, some precedent that she can borrow from, as she's helped so many people. And then if it's something that's a newer problem that we never seen before, definitely let Humon or someone at Fair Farms know. And we have the line of communication where we can bring it up and facilitate steps towards it being resolved. So, so yeah, if you have a special problem, understand that Fair Farms is in a position where we're in communication with these elected officials, and it's kind of like part of what we do is to help people out. So.
Hey, Doug and Humon. So in addition to advocating for legislative changes, are you guys, or does anybody aware of anybody who's advocating for someone at the state level to go after some of the federal grants that are out there from the USDA? Like, I end up seeing a lot of stuff that's available to the states and local municipalities, but then it'll be designated for certain states. And I'm like, why don't I ever see Maryland in this list of some of these grants that they're going after? So I'm not sure whether it's that nobody's asking or nobody's voicing, or whether it's, you know, not having enough resources to go after some of the grants. I don't know. But have you guys done any work with that?
Yeah, so the first slide I showed you, the American Rescue Plan Act, that was I guess in the timeline of when we were working on it, so it was much earlier in the year. But without getting too into too much detail on that one, is it was money coming down, the bill passed under Biden administration, money coming down from federal government to go into a lot of different buckets, one for COVID, one for something else, and then there was one for water. And we were able to kind of connect that water piece to the farming piece, because we know it's all related, but it's not very obvious to that many people unless you're actually doing the work. So that wasn't so much money that we got. That's not going to go to a nonprofit. That was going to go to different municipalities and counties level. You know, like much federal funding and federal legislation, it was not very transparent in terms of how it was going to be distributed and who's allocating it to where, and is it already allocated? So many questions. But you know, we did like a webinar on it much earlier in the year, and the way that individuals in different counties can advocate for where that money should go, or at least at that time earlier in the year, was to write letters to certain administrators in their counties, and that's what we did. So we had a letter writing campaign, which I think it went pretty okay, pretty good turnout at that webinar too. So that's one example. So we try to pay attention to federal money as much as we can. It's definitely not easy. USDA grants are not easy. We are working on researching a few different ones right now. I'm not super involved in it quite yet. That's something that my supervisors and some other people are working on right now. But that is something that we're definitely interested in and definitely looking into. I think the most important thing, I would say for anybody, going after these kinds of USDA grants is to have strong relationships with the people that you want the money to go to, or like the people that you're applying with, and also strong relationships with folks in, for example, like NRCS, right? To make sure that they know who you are and you know who they are, which, it takes time. But that's something else I'm hoping to learn more about as I continue, because I think it's a good question, and it's something that as Fair Farms continues, changes. I should say also that we're writing a new strategic plan right now. So hopefully next year we'll have maybe a more clear direction compared to the previous years, in terms of what we want to do and what we want to accomplish. But yeah, I think all that definitely fits in. When we see an opportunity that we think makes sense to us, we'll try to go for it for sure. And then also if the farmers, folks like everyone on this call have suggestions or have ways of potential collaboration that you think that Fair Farms will be a good fit for, please let us know.
I also wanted to say, I spoke with Neith about the new extension agents, and since it's about 2 years out until that actually goes into effect, if anybody, you have to have a master's, to even be considered. So if anybody's like teetering on wanting to go after something like that and you need to finish a couple credits, you got the time, So, thanks, guys.
Thank you all for your questions. I think we'll pause there for a minute just so we can let Prince George's County Farm Bureau present, and then I don't know if Humon and Doug, if you guys can hang on for a bit longer, because I would love to continue the discussion after Farm Bureau has an opportunity to present.
Definitely.
All right, thank you guys. So
if I might, while Harrison figures out the slide deck, chip on to Liz's question. I would say a lot of that also comes from working with the U.S. delegation, congressional delegation from Maryland. So, the Congress appropriates the money. So that's USDA regulates and set up the regulations around how they're going to spend that money. But generally it's coming from congressmen and women. And that's how the money is divvied out. And so if Maryland wants a block grant, it's basically going to be the U.S. congressman from Maryland saying, this is going to get passed and I want some money coming back to my constituents. And so that's a lot of what American Farm Bureau Federation and our state delegation also we work on is trying to make sure that Maryland gets a piece sometimes.
Logan, that was a good transition. And Humon, you mentioned if folks are looking for places where Fair Farms would be a fit, I think that Prince George's County Farm Bureau and Fair Farms have a good opportunity to build a relationship. And, our presentation tonight is really going to be highlighting some of that overlap that we've already had so far. And so Prince George's County Farm Bureau was pretty instrumental in a lot of the establishment of legislation in the county permitting urban ag, and we'll get into that. In this past year, we really kind of kicked in a high gear, looking at the legislative pieces and advocating for urban agriculture, sort of in the background. So we don't have as much of that direct grassroots approach for the urban agriculture as we typically do with our agricultures we had for hundreds of years. So it's a really new and exciting thing for us that we're looking to promote the urban agricultural sector in the county and advocate and do what we can to make that really as viable as we can. I mean, you guys are killing it, and it's awesome through work with soil conservation and talking to Kim, seeing what people are doing, because that's just not the world that I grew up in. So it's amazing to see what's going on. I've heard almost every name in this group before, in some way, shape, or form. And so it's awesome to have everyone here, and I thank you all for coming out tonight, to listen to what we've got to say and start this conversation, that we've historically haven't had as much. So, quick history of Prince George's Farm Bureau's involvement with urban ag. We partnered with FEC, Soil Conservation, Extension, Eco, on a lot of this key legislation that we've heard about and have gone back historically, in 2015 to the Urban Ag Property Tax Credit, and looking at the definition of an urban farm. So expanding that, going through what defines urban farming, where is urban farming found in the county, what does that entail, what is that not, and really looking at that definition to say, how do we let people do as much as they possibly can do within their within the region that they live to provide fresh, healthy local foods. And so in that definition of urban agriculture, this past year, 2020, 2021, we worked with a lot of these groups, including Fair Farms, and Fair Farms is going to show up in, I think, every slide that we have today. So we've both been at the same level, just not quite talking directly, and Fair Farms much further in the grassroots portion. But a lot of these groups that we've worked with and partnered with throughout the county to understand what it's going to take to get foul on urban farms, how to do it right, how to appease the lawmakers, how to appease other citizens that understand the nuances and realities of farming, especially in an urban setting. So we had small group meetings. We worked with the council directly. We worked with each of these partner organizations directly. We testified to the county council. We had an oral testimony and a written testimony that we supplied. So at the hearing in 2022, it was tabled, but foul permitted. So, him for more information. But we do continue to work with these partner organizations as stuff comes up within the county, whether it's new issues that arise, whether it's stuff that people want to do that either isn't permitted or isn't written very clearly. This is where we can kick in and be a part of that conversation still. The Ag and Food Security Innovation Center. So about the time of the Build Back Better grants, SMATIC was looking at proposing something that was going to cover all of Southern Maryland, pushing for a lot of these goals. So infrastructure, aggregation, and what they were looking for was for each county to supply something that could be tied to the greater good, but really is going to be county specific in enhancing their operations. So we worked with the Economic Development Commission, Soil Conservation, Food Equity Council. I believe Fair Farms was involved in this, but a lot of our common advocacy groups, to think of this Ag and Food Security Innovation Center that really would be pivotal in tying in and promoting a lot of the urban ag in the county. So unfortunately, we did submit a letter of support to SMATIC for this project, for the Build Back Better grant, for all these pieces, and they were denied the funding for the grant. But this is something that we're still working with these partners to push within the county, just because this has a huge potential to really alter the environment of urban farming and just agriculture in general within the county. So that's something we're working with. We work with the FFA groups. We partner with Glen Park FFA, have for a very long time. We've connected students with farmers in the rural portions of the county. We have connected for knowledge. We've connected for funding. We've got a really good relationship with the FFA. And if any of y'all know Lisa Gadara, she's incredible and cannot speak highly enough about her and what she does for those kids up there. It really, to see what comes out of that school and the productivity and the education and the passion for agriculture at every way, shape, or form is just fantastic. And I'll put a Farm Bureau plug in. The Maryland State Agriculture Ambassador, Xavier Cox, was part of the Glen Park FFA. He was the Prince George's County Ag Ambassador and now is an Ag Ambassador for the state of Maryland. So huge kudos to that group. So Humon talked about it a bit. During the 2022 legislative session, we were involved with these weekly updates put on by CBF. And I tell you, it was amazing to hear all the perspectives, all the information. I know a handful of folks in this group jumped onto those calls to be in the buzz of what's going on, to understand what's happening in Annapolis, what's going on that we can be a part of to support urban agriculture and advocate for that. And I'll talk about some of our partners later, but on I think almost every call for that and had some representation to really push what's going on. And so getting a little bit into the bills, we had written testimony for these three, and I'm going to pass the mic over to Logan. I know I've been on a roll, but this is exciting. Exciting stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to slow down a little bit on this slide. So, one of the things that Maryland Farm Bureau and Prince George's County Farm Bureau, we really try to be, the voice of agriculture across the state and county. And so whether you're an urban farmer in Hyattsville or, you're a produce farmer over in Clinton, Maryland, or you're a row crop around the shore, we support in any way that we possibly can legislatively. So you saw earlier that we have a full-time paid lobbyist, and Colby Ferguson. I'm sure many on this call have met him, dealt with him, worked with him in the past. And just to give an example, I think in this last legislative session, I think there are over 160 bills that specifically affected agriculture in one way or another. And Maryland Farm Bureau put in testimony on all of them, whether we were for it or against it. This year happened to be a very positive year in the realm of Farm Bureau being able to support a lot of the bills that were being put in regards to agriculture. That's not always necessarily the case, but a couple of the bills that you see here are the first two specifically, and they've already been hit on, so I won't waste too much more time on them. But between the infrastructure bill and the extension bill, the extension bill, that's $300,000 that has to be put in by the governor into the general fund budget to support those two extension agents. And we're super excited about that because it's not only going to support Baltimore, it's absolutely going to support Prince George's County and what we're trying to do and the changes that we're trying to affect on the county level. And, the third one, somatic funding. So this is, some of you guys know, somatics funding was set to expire. And if you are anywhere well acquainted with the history of Prince George's County after the tobacco buyout, there really wasn't much of an ag sector economically. And so somatic was huge in that ability to transform this county into everything that we are now, for the most part, was directly tied to the efforts of somatic. So there was a lot of push between other groups on this call and Kim and all of us in regards to trying to push for the funding of somatic. Obviously, that did pass. We're very excited about that. One of the bills that's not on here that we weren't able to pass because we kind of came late to the game, and this is something that I try to push and make everyone aware of, and it was Senate Bill 567 was the bill that Farm Bureau and Grow and Fortify, which is Kevin Addicks in the wine and distilling industry. There was a taxation reassessment out in Garrett County, and that set the precedent for ag secondary operations. So if you had a cidery on your property or a winery, or if you happen to have a produce stand, then the tax assessment, they could go through and reassess it as a commercial instead of agricultural. And for a lot of our industry in Prince George's County that made the transition from tobacco, we went into a lot of the things that are now directly going to be affected. So Farm Bureau was one of the big pushers behind, hey, we need to, make sure that we have this codified in law that you can do secondary ag things on the farm if you're using ag products to do that. So if you are, for instance, Robin Hill Winery in Brandywine, Maryland, and you are an active farm, and you're growing the grapes on your farm, that's an agricultural product. And if you make wine with that agricultural product, you shouldn't be assessed as a commercial property. So we were able to get it passed in the Senate. Sadly, we didn't have enough time to get it passed in the House, but that's going to be a huge push that we're going to make in the next legislative session. But we are a big tent, if you will. So we represent just about every aspect of agriculture, whether you're wine, whether you're a produce farmer, urban farmer, rural. We want to be there to support you in any way we can. So we're a grassroots membership organization. So anybody can be a member. We'd love to have you. It helps us understand what it is that we need to be advocating for on the county level. And that's why I'm happy to be here on the call tonight with Harrison and all the rest of you.
So a couple of points on that too, Logan. One, if something's not on here, this is just the first 3 that popped up on my Google Drive that we have written testimony for. But we do talk very often and very, very tightly with Maryland Farm Bureau, with other county farm bureaus. So as these things are coming up, we're constantly working with other counties and organizations within Farm Bureau to address support, address opposition, talk about changes, talk directly to legislators about the bill language. So just because it's not written testimony, it doesn't mean we're not involved. That's for sure. But another interesting piece is as you're talking about the assessments and looking at what that's going to looking at what that's going to mean for Prince George's County. Oh, no, I don't have it. We work a lot with our county council. We work a lot with, again, partner organizations within the county to address what urban farming looks like and address how to look at what that means. And so as Logan's talking about this infrastructure bill that came through, that's taxing agricultural buildings as commercial, that's a huge risk in the urban setting because it's not what legislators are used to when it looks at agriculture. And so particularly in this county, and many of you know, there are a lot of challenges to urban farming and a lot of challenges to perspective from lawmakers and other government organizations. So that's something that we fight for. That's something that we try to address and really work closely with a lot of these folks to get it done. So I'll open the floor again later, but as these things are coming up, we're happy to have the conversation. We're happy to listen. We're happy to figure out what legislation means and how it's affecting folks that are on the ground. So that's, like I said, I'll open that up later, but just as an example of what that means, when we see legislation come through and don't always quite understand why or what's happening, it's important to talk to the folks that may be involved to get a glimpse of where it comes from.
Yeah, and I just put in the chat the link to the Maryland Farm Bureau state website. So also, if you're interested in, just like with Fair Farms, Maryland Farm Bureau, we call it the hotline. We put out newsletters. I think they did 9 or 10 as the legislative session goes on, and it talks to every bill that in one way or another has ag. whether Maryland Farm Bureau opposes it or is in favor of it, and exactly what components of it that we think we need to try and see if we can get amended or worked on, and or, so we have that aspect on just about every ag bill ever. And that's also where you can join. If you want to join Prince George's County Farm Bureau, we'd love to have you. And there's also, if you're interested in, if you will, the legislative scorecard. So our delegates and senators from Prince George's County, we have a link on the main website where you can go through and see how they voted on different ag bills, and whether they were for or against them. And you can click on it and you can see exactly what the ag bill was about. So it's a really useful tool that also helps us when we're talking about what candidates we're gonna endorse. I'll hand it back over to Harrison.
Thank you, Logan. I had mentioned earlier our partners. So our board is directly represented on most of what's happening in Prince George's County. So farmers wear a million different hats, and as we're talking to folks right now who are leaving the full-time job to head to the farm and getting ready for a market on Saturday and getting ready to irrigate again on Sunday and check things out. Everyone wears a million different hats. So that's one of the beauties of working with farmers, is that if you don't know something, if you don't have a connection, you very likely have someone with a connection already that you just don't know about. And so reaching out to Farm Bureau is a huge way to spark that conversation, because we are around. We're involved in most everything else that's happening in the ag world in the county, in Southern Maryland, in Maryland, on the Eastern Coast. We're there. So as we look at the future of urban ag and our involvement in this county, we want to be there. We want to promote urban agriculture, support urban farmers in developing that successful business. Like I think it was Armand said earlier, trying to figure out how to make money doing this. We all are in every realm. Providing fresh local food in historically underserved communities. That was a hot topic this year. That's something that again, a lot of y'all are doing, and seeing how important that is as we went through COVID, seeing the food shortages, seeing where it was hit heavier than anyone could have imagined. Urban agriculture is a huge tool in promoting that. And that gets back into the community and youth engagement piece, understanding what's happening, how to get into these communities, how to talk to people, how to get folks involved in agriculture. And again, talking about the representation, working in local legislation, working in state legislation. So we have a ton of these contacts. We have a lot of experience, amongst our board, amongst our membership, amongst our connections with the state and federal Farm Bureau folks. If we don't know directly, we can get you an answer. We can put you in contact with somebody. We can really be that network, along with Fair Farms, along with some of these other partner organizations, to get you connected with what you need. And so our last point, we want to ensure that your voice is heard. We really want to be that in that network. And I don't want to say your advocate, because we don't want to be the only ones that are fighting for you. We want to be a part of this team. We want to work with Fair Farms. We want to work with soil conservation and FEC and Chesapeake Bay, all of these players in the game that we're here for. So we've heard a lot of it tonight, just even from Fair Farms, from the questions that everyone's asking of what you want to see, and I want to open the floor there to what people are thinking, what people want to see from Farm Bureau, how we can help and what we can do for you. So I think that's kind of the end of our presentation, but I would love to open the floor if we can.
Thank you so much, Harrison and Logan. And I don't know if anyone has specific questions for either of them, or if you just have points you'd like to make, or just general comments for both of these Agvocacy groups. I try to always be, be clever, but I can never say too many syllables, too many G's.
Of course, you guys know me. I always have something to say, but thank you guys so much for sharing all the great information and for all the work that you do. I recently became a member, so I'm definitely looking forward to working with you guys in the future. One thing that, a recurring theme that I always hear in the farm, especially urban farm community, is access to land, access to facilities. I can give you like a very specific example so you can understand how it's sort of like urban farming in this area is very unique because, for example, I farm mushrooms. I do it in a warehouse, which means that, I'm paying commercial real estate prices, which is very challenging, especially as I'm looking to expand. I was, blessed to find a warehouse that fit us, at a certain scale, but as we look to grow, it's very costly to get a larger warehouse. And then, a lot of urban farmers farm from their home, but in my example, I would need like a bigger building, not just, a house or a barn. I would need something that was climate controlled and all of that. So that kind of leads me to, well, where can I build something that would sort of give me the benefits of residential or agriculturally assessed with the infrastructure of commercial. And I think that's what a lot of urban farmers are going through, is kind of riding this line between residential and commercial. And then just the sheer cost of doing that in this area. If there's something that you all can, help with, or that's something that, the urban farm work group is going to be working on, but the more resources we have on this, the better.
Well, and that's a great question, Liz. And what I would say is there are a ton of grant programs out there on the state level between Marbidco, Somatic, Rural Maryland Council. You'd be surprised what's out there and available. And I know with Marbidco, they've got the Young Farmer program. I don't want to.
For purchasing.
Yeah, for purchasing, and they do loans. They have their fingers in just about every aspect anymore. And they're fully funded at the moment. So right now is really the kind of time to be looking at them to see what grants they have available. I know Rural Maryland Council, they have their grants. I think it's Friday, I believe. But all you have to come up with if you want to apply is a 500-word document on what it is you're trying to accomplish. And that's all you have to do for phase one. After that, you have time to get your plan together on what you want to apply for. But I always encourage people to kind of see what's out there and available. And Marbidco, Somatic, and RMC are great points to start at.
Yeah, I actually got the urban farm grant from Marbidco, which was wonderful. You had to do it in association with like a commercial loan, and I had just gotten one from Farm Service Agency. But the other thing that I experienced was looking for FSA guaranteed loans, the farm credit. So in our county, we have I want to say, is it Colonial Farm Credit? One of the farm credit agencies, they said that they won't do any USDA loans right now, which to me sounds crazy. They're a farm bank. And then the other like traditional banks that would do farm loans in, say, the Eastern Shore, they don't really know how to service that in this area. So kind of we're in this apex of high costs, and then the financing, servicing, they're not used to it in this area. So I'm definitely going to be looking into more options, but anything that I can bring back to the other farmers is always helpful.
Yeah, I would encourage them to look at Rural Maryland Council. Don't let the name make you afraid to apply, because they're also fully funded at the moment. There's one great aspect to the state finding a surplus on top of a surplus year is everybody got money. Now that probably won't be the case next year, but I would definitely encourage you to see what's out there. Prince George's County is serviced by Colonial Farm Credit. So I get that struggle. Trust me, I have had conversations with them about that and gotten nowhere. So
Thanks, guys.
Liz, I'd say on top of that, and I know that you're very connected with the urban ag world around here. It's, you know, partnering with some of our more traditional folks, looking at where people are looking to say, okay, well, I need to do, I need some controlled space, farm control space for whatever they may have going on, whether it's vegetables, if they've got meat, trying to figure out, okay, well, how do I justify this cost to do, the size that I need if it's limited, being able to partner and say, okay, well, we can go in on this together. If you've got the property that, we can split costs, we can figure these pieces out, because you're right, access to a lot of that land and infrastructure is difficult, where a lot of these other, some of our more traditional farmers have been in the area for a couple hundred years. They've got that land, they've got that legacy infrastructure that they're looking to update too. So that, as you have questions or things come up, that's something that we can kind of reach out and share with our membership as well. Like, hey, are people looking at this? Our Facebook page, we're trying to revamp and really push information, and make a Young Farmer Connection network of folks that are, I think Young Farmer in the Maryland Farm Bureau is 18 to 35, but any young beginning farmer that's looking for resources or information or connection, partnerships, whatever it may be, to build that network, and in every level, is something pushing too. So that's just a plug to put out there that it's more than just a legislative advocacy group.
And if I might tack onto that, so you hit on it with the Young Farmer Program, 18 to 35, Prince George's County. They've been very supportive. Our current county president, Mr. Phil Miller, is very supportive of the young farmers within our community, and especially the Young Farmer Program within our County Farm Bureau. So we've got to give him big props for that. And to that extent, I know Harrison and I and another Prince George's County young, well, not young, I guess Brian's not young, but farmer, if you will, that's a member of Farm Bureau. Prince George's County Farm Bureau is helping sponsor us in the Maryland LEAD program. So that's huge. It's a huge financial burden that's lifted off of us, but also there's so many great opportunities for those that are 18 to 35. There's so many, if you're not 18 to 35 as well, but especially if you're a young farmer. I mean, but I know if you're a young farmer or not, there are a lot of programs within Farm Bureau and Prince George's County. I know Jennifer Cross, our county secretary, and I tomorrow will be in DC at American Farm Bureau headquarters doing communications training, where they teach you how to talk on camera, how to talk to a reporter, how to share the story of ag. And that's a great program that Farm Bureau puts out there. And so we not only advocate, if you will, legislatively, but we work to try and educate and bring our farmers, whether they're urban or not, some education opportunities so that they can better themselves, better ag, do better, be better, if you will.
Harrison and Logan, thank you guys so much for talking about, Farm Bureau and what you guys are doing. And, if anyone has any additional questions for Fair Farms or Prince George's County Farm Bureau, they're going to have their, contact information in the chat box. Please reach out to them. And if either organization has any upcoming events, please feel free to share those. If I see stuff too on I can share it on the Bloomin PGC Google group or on our Facebook page as well. You guys are invited to participate there too. Sorry, Jamila, what were you saying?
Oh, I was just going to say I had a couple questions, but I can put them in the chat if Logan and Harrison could just answer in the chat in the interest of time.
Yeah, that's fine. And,
Okay.
I wanted to open it up. I mean, if you want to continue asking, Fair Farms and Farm Bureau questions, please do. But I also wanted to give folks the opportunity to talk about how their season is going. And that might be, useful information for our advocates to hear as well. So, this is y'all's open mic night, so however you'd like to proceed, but feel free to ask your questions, Jamila, or if other folks want to just chime in with their challenges and their successes to the start of the season, we can talk about that as well.
Oh, okay, so we're done with is there another presentation?
Nope, this is it for presentations. Yeah, so this is a discussion time, and it can be about advocacy and policy, or it can be about what's happening. If I know this is sometimes an opportunity for you guys to connect and ask each other questions about your operations as well.
Oh, okay, so I'm home now. My questions are more on the recreational side. I want to say that I saw a Prince George's County Farm Bureau pageant in the past. I'm not sure if I'm making that up, but I was curious if it's true and if it's going to happen again, because I have 2 daughters. I think would be wonderful for the running. My second question is, does the Farm Bureau run the county fair? Because I really miss the county fair. And that's actually where I built my confidence in growing, was taking my flowers to the county fair and seeing that people saw value in them. And that is kind of what got me started with commercial growing. And then just the third thing is just a comment, just a shout out, because I believe I heard Logan say that he's from Missouri. And I actually went to college in Central Missouri. I went to Lincoln University, and that's where I got my degree in agribusiness. So it's good to see somebody from the Midwest here. So I just wanted to say hi.
Well, thank you. It's always good to see a fellow Missourian. So your first question was about the Miss Contest. So we no longer do the Miss Contest. We've transitioned to an ambassador program. And Harrison hit on it quickly with this year we had Kayla and Xavier. For some reason, I always blank on his first name. So Xavier is and Kayla are the 2 ambassadors from Prince George's County, and they've done an amazing job. And Xavier actually won the state competition to be the Maryland Farm Bureau ambassador. So we've transitioned to so that it's kind of equal opportunity for male and females. So if you have a son or a daughter, you have an opportunity for scholarship and educational opportunity for the youth. I believe we also have a junior ambassador competition as well. So if the young ones want to apply, we have that as well. The second question, I believe, was around the county fair. We do not have a hand in the county fair currently. When I worked for the Maryland Department of Agriculture, one of the programs I administered was the Maryland Ag Fair board. And coming from Missouri, having grown up in 4-H and FFA and shown all my life, I was really kind of hoping that as a resident in Prince George's County, I could kind of help them and provide some extra support. And I was the administrator of the program that helped fund them, and I couldn't even get them to apply for funding. But so they've got some long road ahead, if you will, to get back to being an ag fair, more than just the rides. But so we don't have a hand in that one in particular. If you look across the state, a lot of the county farm bureaus, like the Young Farm Bureau, are there dipping ice cream as a fundraiser and stuff like that. It's just not currently a relationship in Prince George's County.
Hi, this is Terry Hampton. Just to chime in, I am on the Prince George's County Fair Board, just happened to be.
Yep.
And actually, yes, there will be a county fair this year. And we do have agriculture. It's usually inside of the building, not outside of the building. Usually the rides and things are inside. The animal things, the animals exhibitions are behind the fair. And then they usually have exhibits for flowers and things like that inside of the building. This year, everything is outside, so everything will be there. So Jamila, if you want to get in contact with me, I will be more than happy to talk with you regarding the county fair and agriculture.
Yeah. Are you guys still at the Equestrian Center?
Right.
Yeah, it's a tremendous venue. So it's been a great relationship.
Yes. Now, last 2 years, of course, we did not have it. because of COVID. Prayerfully, the numbers will not go back up. Right now they were going down, but they're slightly going back up. So, I mean, all I can tell you is, you know, we'll send word out if it's canceled, but as of right now, yes, the county fair is on. And you can just get in contact with me or with Esther Mitchell at Maryland Extension regarding agriculture.
Humon, did you have your hand up earlier?
Oh yeah, the only thing I was gonna add about collaboration was if you need someone to come out and volunteer at your farm for like an hour and pull weeds or something, I will do that. I know how to do that. I am good at that. Or I don't know, wash eggs, something like, yeah. So, and I say that because one is, you know, it's good to see what farms look like on the ground, and two, I need to get out of my house more often. I have a desk job now. It's very different. I need to exercise.
Are you limited to 1 hour?
Nope. Could do more. Could do more.
I know Dreaming Out Loud, they're in DC, but I know they're definitely looking for volunteers right now.
I need volunteers.
There you go.
If you like weeds, I have weeds. This is Linda. We'll talk though.
We'll make it happen.
If you're serious.
Oh, I've done it before. I'm serious. Yep.
Well, I got enough weeds for that neighborhood to come down, but I'm not that many, but I would appreciate some volunteers. I'm trying to get some through the schools, but right now things are kind of slow.
Humon, you should definitely take Linda up on that, because she's got a lot of experience and she's really been advocating and helping. I mean, she really started the open mic nights with me and everything, so definitely take her up on that and pull some weeds.
Yeah, there might be, I think, you know, in general, I think we want to do more Fair Farm sponsored activities on different farms.
Right.
And so I think that's opportunity just to bring out more people, or to bring out, you know, the rest of the staff when it works out to go do something interesting, you know.
I'll make lunch for you, I promise. Oh, I'll buy lunch for you.
Looks like everyone has a question.
I was gonna thank everyone for the presentation. This was really helpful. And then Humon, yeah, if you want to come by, I have a really small operation. We love some hands, and actually I want to maybe have any of you guys come by and like help me figure out how to move forward, because I mean my operation, it's, as I mentioned, it's a food forest, and I'm trying to figure out how to make money off of it. Just trying to do like mostly herbs right now. Yeah, I would appreciate a lot of any suggestions or opinions.
Armand, you said you're doing agroforestry?
Yeah, but in like a small space.
How big?
Trying to figure. It's 1/8 of an acre. And it's I'm trying to figure it out, but I'm mostly, the first plan is to just grow a lot of herbs. So I have like 8 different kinds of mint that I'm going to dry, and with the help of a friend, come up with tea mixes for, like, you know, focus, whatever remedies, because he has like background in herbalism. So yeah, so, and then other herbs that I'm trying to figure out how to work with, like mugwort and like holy basil, stuff like that.
I'm putting together a program for our spent mushroom substrate. So once we like grow out our mushroom blocks, you know, after say 2 or so, it's not really worth it for us to keep them in the tent, but they still keep fruiting, like they're fruiting even in our compost pile. But I would rather like partner with somebody who's got some forest areas to be able to take those and continue growing them out.
I would take them gladly. I grow wine caps here. And I also I'm a volunteer coordinator at Forested. I can take some to Forested too in Bowie. It's a 10-acre food forest.
Oh, I gotta check that out.
Yeah, definitely check them out. Forest, it's beautiful.
Is your information in the chat?
I can put it up.
I see your comment, Humon. I haven't thought about doing vermicompost with it, but I did just order a really small vermicompost just to teach myself about it. I have this I just got this new AeroBin composter that's supposed to work without any turning. But the mycelium is so strong, I feel like it's never gonna compost down. It's just gonna keep growing.
Let me know how that works. That's what I'm trying to do at home. I made a DIY pass-through system, and I want to see if I can maybe get some spent medium.
Well,
But
you're welcome to come out and check it out
oh,
firsthand.
definitely. I mean, where I learned all the composting knowledge I know is from the legend Benny Ayres over at Eco City Farms. And then, Institute for Local Self-Reliance too, which we also worked on some policy with them on composting. But yeah, if anyone knows the answer is Benny, there's no doubt.
I think John had a question as well, and Stephanie's giving us a quick tour of her new CoolBot that's in her house. We're so excited about this.
It's like a 4x8 space. There's like no space in here. So like I'm literally just gonna do a twirl. There we go.
Hey, it does the job, right?
That's it. It's a big closet.
Oh. John.
Yes, hi everybody. John with Florencia Farm in Upper Marlboro. I was driving and I had to stop because, I wanted to at least thank the guys for the presentations, Humon, Doug, and Harrison, and the other gentlemen. All the presentations were very, very nice, and I want to just thank you guys for doing the advocacy type of work, because we, the farmers, we know how to farm. We don't know how to talk to the powers that be. And then the only comment that I wanted to make and say, we may need to kind of do a little bit more communication in terms of what's going on, what's in the pipeline, so farmers know, they when the session starts, when say that it's April and the session is over, and that's when the farmers are starting to work. And like, oh, what happened? It's kind of like the timeline thing that people don't know what's happening, what's in the pipeline, what they're advocating for. And the question that I had for you guys: are you coordinating between your advocacy groups to kind of have a unified front when you go to talk to lawmakers, so that you prioritize maybe what one or two issues that you're gonna work on for the whole year, and then maybe for the next year you work on another issue, so that it's not too much work for you. And by passing, I was invited to comment on the new USDA urban innovation and production. They are working on the farm bill for next year. They are looking for feedback from farmers, or at least urban farmers. Have you got any type of action that you are submitting towards the next farm bill? That's a winded long question, but thanks guys for the work.
Yeah, absolutely, John. I'll say on behalf of Farm Bureau, at least, we do try and coordinate with all groups involved, if you will. Luckily for us, we're able to afford to have Colby Ferguson, our lobbyist. That's his job to work and coordinate, and we will for sure have a say on the next farm bill. Now, whether or not they're willing to listen to us necessarily is another thing, but we'll be out there shouting it from the rooftop.
Cool.
And
Yeah,
John,
I
thanks
would
for
I
being
would
on
say
those
that.
listening sessions with the Urban Ag and Innovation Grant folks. So thanks for being on those listening sessions. And I know you put out an offer to the whole group about, specific questions. So thank you for doing that. Sorry, Humon.
No, it's okay. I would say the same thing. The urban farm, all these urban farm bills, I think would be a good example of Farm Bureau, different groups, Chesapeake Bay Foundation, Farm Alliance in Baltimore, Prince George's Food Equity Council here, Fair Farms also at the state level, just working on all these different bills and trying to figure things out. If the opportunity again, of course, let's just keep going until it works for all the farmers. Obviously, now we're not going to agree on everything on all the agricultural issues that happen in the state. The same goes for any other organization, but that doesn't mean that there aren't areas of agreement. And when there's areas of disagreement, we'll try to figure it out, just like we did in all these urban ag coalition calls. We figured out the politics is always a compromise. There's never, it's everyone comes out winning something, everyone comes out losing a little bit of something, but then at the end of the day, it moves forward. I think that's the most important. On the farm bill side, I went, so we keep it at the state level, but I go to different meetings for National Stable Agricultural Coalition, NSAC, try to get information from National Young Farmers Coalition, I think that's what it is. And then the other big one, National Family Farms Coalition. Are they all coalitions? Yeah, anyways, try to learn from them and take their lead on the issues that they're working on at the national level. I think they're all really great organizations, and we have Fair Farms has pretty good relationship with all of them in terms of passing back information between two organizations. And that's something we're working on too, is making those feedback loops stronger between the national levels and the state levels. That's something else I'm learning more about as I continue. But yeah, Farm Bill is happening. People say it's coming up, but it's really happening now. I mean, there's committee hearings and things like that are happening right now. Trying to figure those things out is going to take time, but keeping that in mind, I think it is possible, but it just takes a lot of time to see where the capacity is and try to build up from there. But yeah, we will definitely be passing, distributing information on Farm Bill as it comes up, and we're close. Maryland's close to DC, so I mean, I think there's definitely an opportunity to go and talk with some of these legislators. Now, not Maryland delegation doesn't have anybody on the Ag Committee, but there are a few on the appropriations, and that's where all the money is. So pay attention to that as we continue. On the urban farming side, I mean, I want to hear from the urban farmers about what folks think about what direction that USDA, what direction that U.S. government should go in on urban farming. I think that's that's something we're learning more about there too. So the other thing is too, I don't want to speak too much more, but I would say farmers do have very good ideas on policy, and I remember, just example of what Doug was doing with Prince George's Food Equity Council in rezoning the land, for his hoop house, for his business. You guys did that yourselves. So I think farmers should, as someone who worked only for 1 year, very short amount of time in the farm, I think farmers should really give themselves more credit on being able to influence policy. I mean, you see what's going on in other countries and around the world when farmers start to protest and have things to say. Things can change.
Sorry about that. Does anyone else have anything they wanted to ask Harrison, Logan, Humon, or Doug? Or were there other things that you guys wanted to talk about in terms of the start of the season? Or other ideas for upcoming open mic nights? I'll stay on for about 20 more minutes, but I know sometimes around 8:45 folks start to peter out, so that's why I just wanted to check in to see if we had any more pressing questions. And if not, we can just chat for a bit.
I'm always still really trying to learn more about what we can do in some of the protected areas, like areas that are under forest conservation easements, or just anywhere where we can farm in a sustainable way on areas that are preserved. Like agroforestry is one thing, you know, but I just really understanding what we can and can't do, if anything.
And as for me, I think we could at some point circle back to the conversation we were having for a few months and up to the time we met with the Baltimore Farm Alliance about what we could possibly do in Prince George's County. And at some point, you know, try to, you know, at least start some initiative. They have a lot of good documents that we can use as, you know, benchmarks that we might want to try. So it's going to be an open forum. Whoever wants to do it, you know, we just want to try to see how it will work in our county at the farmers markets, and with some of the markets they have CSA packages from different just single farmers. But the way the Baltimore Alliance was working theirs, they had multiple farmers contributing to baskets as well as, you know, individual products. So that might be something that people would want to talk about later. And I think it would be, you know, just a good initiative just to show some, you know, camaraderie between the farmers. So we're not, you know, always feeling like we're, you know, in the game alone, but it's a big field out there and there's a lot of players. And I think that we could come up with even if it's a small, you know, group or small packages, CSA, see who has what, because not everybody can grow everything. And if you do curated baskets from different farmers, you just basically, you know, price it as you would sell it individually, and then just make one big basket and they could pick it up at one location. Just a suggestion to people who, you know, just to think about it.
Yeah, we're actually doing home deliveries of our mushrooms. And so far, I mean, we've set our radius out 100 miles. So we've done deliveries all the way up in Northern Maryland to Southern Maryland, Eastern Shore, even into Virginia. And like the demand is there for the stuff. It's just a matter of the infrastructure. So I just wrote a grant for the specialty crop block grant for mushroom producers for us all to basically aggregate and do a direct to consumer delivery system, because the shelf life for mushrooms is much shorter, which is why you don't see a lot of them in the grocery stores and things like that. As is a lot of our organic produce. If we can, you know, deliver it directly to the consumers, especially in you know, areas where they're not close to public transportation or something like that, I think that would be super helpful.
Yep.
So hopefully that grant comes through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Elizabeth,
it's just something we can think about.
Elizabeth, for you specifically with the mushrooms, you should definitely look into contacting farms that do like mushroom shares. There's a lot of farms that I've seen that they work with King Mushroom, who's literally located like 2 hours away. And if you could offer a more local alternative, like you could probably easily get in there as like the more local option if you reach out to like bigger farms that do bigger CSAs, because a lot of them do, like, either they will just give their customers mushrooms every once in a while, or people can sign up specifically for mushroom shares through that farm, and then they just source their mushrooms through you. So I think Owl's Nest does King Mushroom, and I forget, there was like another farm that I saw that did King Mushroom. But definitely like look into that avenue for mushrooms, because I do think that like there is like a desire for those mushrooms and people just don't know where to get it other than the farmers market.
Yeah, there's one in Howard County that does a really strong CSA, so I was thinking about reaching out to them. But it's a great suggestion. Yeah, and King is great. We sometimes will work with them as well. You know, if we have a ton of orders and, just the timing. But again, even if it's like we have a centralized selling system and then the distribution happens locally in different communities.
I actually, Elizabeth, I just sent you an email about our farmers market in College Park doesn't have a mushroom vendor. And this year there's actually no vendor fee. So, and it's in College Park. So if you were looking for a farmer's market, that might be a good place to like try it out. Just because there's no vendor fee, they're not taking a cut of anything this year. So you could come every week, come every other week. You could like figure out if that's an avenue that you want. I don't know if you're interested in selling at farmers markets.
Yeah, we just we're doing Maple Lawn Farmers Market on Saturdays, but it's not every weekend. So I, definitely reach out to them and maybe do some alternating weekends. I appreciate that. Thanks, Stephanie.
Is that only particular to doing the king mushrooms or our variety of what we have?
King is the name of the farm.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Elizabeth, John here. I'm interested in chatting in reference to the logistics, because on my ethnic food program, I work with farmers on the Eastern Shore, and sometimes one of the issues that we have faced was logistics, in terms of like bringing produce from Eastern Shore to the market in DC.
Yeah.
There are a lot of organizations in DC that are getting stuff from there, but we definitely had a problem of logistics in terms of like just coordinating. You find out there are a bunch of organizations in the DC side who are sending all these refrigerated trucks over there, and then they are bringing like a third of a truck full. Well, they could work with other vendors and people who kind of like just share the cost of logistics. So I'll be interested in having a conversation with you, because I'm also trying to kind of coordinate on the ethnic food side and the market in DC.
Yeah, we'd love that. I mean, it definitely makes sense too if we got, we're growing now, but like I said, we've had deliveries all over the place. So if we have some type of a share system where we say we're going to be in this area on such and such date, to basically coordinate, because we're trying to we want to make it affordable for people. We don't want to charge $20 for delivery. So the furthest that we're charging is like a $6.99, but that's not necessarily making up our cost, but it will, once you get to a certain scale. So you kind of got to ride that line and just totally bootstrap it until you get there.
Right. Yeah.
The more we can do together.
It's been costly for us. It's been costly for us to do the pilot. Yeah.
Yeah. Kim, do you know what, if anybody got the grants for the food aggregation systems from Marbidco? I didn't even, they had them on there, but they didn't have like the due date listed unless you really dug into it. So by the time I even knew about it, it was already over. Do you know if anybody got that?
I haven't heard anything yet. I do believe there's a Marbidco Monday coming up, and I'm wondering if they're going to announce some of that then. I'm not sure where they are in the grant review process. But you guys, that would be a perfect one for you guys to apply for. Maybe I don't know how often they're going to do it, if it's going to be twice a year or once a year, but I guess we'll find out. And I can
it seemed like from the files, it seemed like it was a one-time thing. So I would be really interested to know whether they're going to do it again or, and also the other thing with that is they made it limited only to folks who had institutional buyers, like, schools, prisons, whatever. And that seemed a little bit limiting. Like for us, $18 a pound isn't going to generally go to, schools and things like that, but that doesn't mean that it can't or that it wouldn't.
Would folks be interested? I know, Stephanie mentioned it. Linda, I mean, all of you have talked about, thinking about how resources might be shared. I mean, we could devote an open mic night to some brainstorming around that topic. And, I know that Linda was on the conversation with the Farm Alliance. Was anyone else on that conversation? I know Eco was. We could see if John wants to come on board, because I know they're interested in doing some of that work as part of the incubator farm. And so they might be open to, helping to organize beyond just Eco City Farms incubator, farm participants.
Yeah, I'd be interested in sharing resources.
Hey, Kim.
I'll be
I was
interested
on that.
also.
I was on that call, Kim. Myself and Linda were on there, and it was a worthwhile call. But in terms of who was on the call that can benefit, there were bigger farms, and it was supposed to be something where we were even talking about the strata in terms of how it would be organized. How would the smaller farms be affected, and how would they benefit from an alliance that who more or less would be in it, and how would it grow? Because you can have people that were of an urban setting, and then you could have people that had several acres. So that's some of the questions we had with regarding to how it would be structured.
I believe, Renee, basically, from part of it, it was actually, what does each farmer have to bring to the market table? And of those things, which of those could be pretty much, I guess, put into one singular basket or CSA basket for a group of people? Say if you have like 3 things, I have 3, another person has 4. And for that week, those 11 or 12 things would go in a basket, and it would be price set at what you would normally pay for each, which you would charge for each item. So say for instance, your stuff was 10, mine was 10, other person was 10. So the basket would be like $30, whatever that would be for that particular basket. So I was thinking along those lines. Or if somebody wanted to, like I did last year, I had the one table at the market, at Capital Market, and anyone who wanted to actually sit there for that week or that Friday, they could, have the space, because I knew I wasn't going to be there every week. So the table was open for the other 2 or 3 weeks of the month. So something like that, just sharing a collaborative space, and, not thinking that everybody has to grow everything themselves, and then making sure that, the things did, get sold.
Yeah, thanks, Linda, for letting me use the table.
You're welcome.
And it could also not just be, aggregating and distribution. It could be purchase of supplies and all of that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Another thing that folks were interested in.
So it's just a thought. People think about it. It's just a thought.
Well, I want to go ahead, and we don't have to formally end, but at least formally end the presentation part of the program, in case I know Humon, Harrison, and Doug, they may have to hop off. So thank you all again for coming on and talking about your work with Urban Ag, and just, opening it up to our urban farmers in terms of, how you can support them. So hopefully have continued discussion. I welcome you guys to, pop in now and again on open mic nights if you want to hear the conversation. Because most of the time we're talking about troubleshooting issues like this, and it may range from sales to pest management, wildlife issues. So yeah, so thank you guys again. Thank you for joining us tonight, and we'll see you at the next open mic night on June 19th.